We are Muskegon County at Work, spotlighting workers of local governments throughout our county, revealing what it takes to make our communities comfortable and safe. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Muskegon County Municipalities at Work. Your host, DJ Hilson. Happy to be back behind the mic for yet another, I think, really important but very informative episode. And today we'll be talking about the Resource Recovery Center for Muskegon County. And my guest today is Amelia.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's so great to have you because I think even though, I've been to the Resource Recovery Center, I've driven by the Resource Recovery Center, and I bet you a lot of people don't even know where it is. And so before we get into that, because there's a lot of good stuff happening there that I want you to talk about, I always have my guests talk a little bit about themselves. Where you're from, how did you get to where you're at, sort of your background, if you will. So the floor is yours.
Buckle up.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So I am a local to Muskegon County. I grew up in Montague. But after high school, and actually in high school, I left and I went to Ankara, Turkey. And I went to school there. I got my degree in environmental engineering from Middle East Technical University. And I worked there, lived there for 15 years. And it was, it took my mother getting ill to come back. And I came back to the community and I realized how much I missed it. It's easier to, when something is out of sight, it's out of mind. And you can pretend that you don't love it. So I came home and I was very happy to be back. And I realized I needed a big girl job here. So that's when I talked to the director of the Wastewater, or the Resource Recovery Center, and I asked him for guidance because I didn't know what to do, because I had been working in Turkey for 15 years. I didn't know anyone here. I knew Dave Johnson, the Resource Recovery Center director, because I had done an internship there when I was at university. I'd come back for a summer, and at that time he had been the head of the lab, and he said to me, he's like, well, actually, we have a position that's coming up. Could you apply for it? Let's see if you would be a good candidate. And it turns out I was. So that is where I came from and how I've gotten to this point.
Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about your overseas experience and maybe I'll say the transformation, for lack of a better way to describe it, from coming from overseas back here to, your home county, if you will. Mm-hmm. What did you learn over there that transferred over here?
Well, I was very lucky that the school that I went to, their environmental engineering program focused mainly on wastewater. So that was the easy part. The easy part was taking those skills and being able to come here and know all the terminology, everything that we're doing. And my education was in English over there. So it wasn't hard to, career-wise, to come here. I definitely found it interesting how, and I'm kind of going off of a tangent of your question, but it was difficult for me that nobody knew where I had gone to school. It's kind of silly, but when I said Middle East Technical University, in Turkey, everyone knows it. And it's a very prestigious school, and you have this instant respect. It's like going to U of M, right? They're like, oh, yeah, or to State. I don't want to cause a problem. And here nobody knew. And I had someone actually ask me, did you go to Middle Earth University? I'm like, Middle Earth? No, not Lord of the Rings. I went to Turkey, and I'm like, oh, this isn't making it any better. So that was hard for me, was getting that respect of what I had done.
Well, I don't
know if I answered your question.
Well, yes, you did. Certainly it sounds like you went overseas and you went to a university there that really focused in on what you wanted to do as a career and to learn. And what was hard for, I'll say us, the royal we, is to really appreciate the fact that you went to a place that actually probably taught you more than you ever thought you'd learn.
I got to see the most amazing places. I worked for Golder Associates, and now it's WSP, for quite some time. And we would go to construction sites for dams. I've got to be on archaeological digs for hooks. Those are burial mounds that are, that were going to be impounded by water. I've got to be on wind turbine construction projects and solar and just huge hospitals. I've got to see such a bandwidth of all these different places and different things. So that's really given me a lot of perspective of what's out there in this field. Environmental engineers are everywhere, doing a lot of different things.
So let's talk a little bit about what your role is here at the Resource Recovery Center. You told me before we started you're in the operations, you supervise operations. So talk to us a little bit about that. What does that entail?
Well, I like to tell people that I push buttons and I break things, but that's not just it. I do a lot of things. First and foremost, I have 6 individuals that I work with. 2 of them are operators of the plant, and then the other 4 monitor the entire system. 24/7, 7 days a week, holidays, it doesn't matter. Our guys are watching what is going on at all of the 13 different pump stations around the county. What pumps are turning on, what valves are opening, is something not opening, is everything okay? So I supervise them, and we work together to make sure that the wastewater is treated and that it's going where it's supposed to be going.
Well, those are 2 very important things when you break it down, right? I mean, because you'll have to educate me on this. Does all the county's wastewater come to the recovery center and then go back out?
Essentially,
okay.
Yes. And we also get a lot of wastewater from outside of the county. We have a lot of it trucked in. Septic tank haulers, for instance, you also have industries that are hauled in. And once that is pumped to our facility and it is treated, it is discharged into the Muskegon River. And then that goes to Muskegon Lake. And
okay.
Yes.
Now, there is, if memory serves me correctly, there's a big project going on.
We have a lot of big projects, but I'm sure I know the one that you're talking about.
I'm talking about the $60 million one, I believe.
The $65 million one. Yeah.
So can you talk to us, educate our viewers here on because, we miss a lot, I think, because local media really doesn't exist. And this may have been a story several months ago, but people have probably forgotten about it. So educate our viewers on what this is all about.
On what the Southeast Regional Force Main is.
Yes.
So let's go back with a little bit of history of Muskegon, I think is probably where we should start. Muskegon used to have a lot more industry. And the reason why the Resource Recovery Center exists, the reason why we have a board of commissioners exists, is because all of these industries got together and said, we're killing the lake, and this is unsustainable. We need to do something about this. And they built the Resource Recovery Center to treat this wastewater. Well, fast forward, all of these industries disappear. I shouldn't say all, but predominantly. And especially the largest one, Sappi, the paper mill, is no longer here. And that left us we're at just 1/4 of our capacity, hydraulically. We don't get as much water as we used to. So that's where we sit, and we make it work, right? But then you look down to the south in Ottawa County, where Coopersville has been struggling to keep up. And they keep expanding and doing more things, but they just can't keep up with the industries that are discharging to them. And so instead of seeing, our problem and their problem as problems, we saw them as opportunities. Well, how about you send it our way? So we applied for funding from the state, and now we're building a pipeline to send that wastewater to us. And it's only going to be 3 million gallons a day. And that seems like, ooh, so much. When you think that we get about 10.7 at the moment million gallons a day, but we used to get 36, and we're rated for 42. So it's hydraulically a drop in the bucket for us.
Well, it's pretty incredible, actually. And I know, this is an extensive project that is going to take, obviously, time to complete?
It's chugging along. I don't know. It's going pretty quick, DJ.
Good.
It is. We're talking about even starting up this fall, this spring, about having the first flows come through. It's happening very quickly.
So in a sense, can you tell our viewers kind of where this pipeline, obviously starting in Coopersville, and how's it cutting across Muskegon County?
It's going through Ravenna, through that area, and then it's coming back into the wastewater treatment plant. So it's not touching into the city at all. It's more of to the east of the county. It is meant, and there's a reason for that, because along the way, we are picking up industries as we go. So there are industries in place. So we have 5 main industries that are hooking up. We have Fairlife, Continental Dairy, Swanson Pickle, DeVries Meats, and the digester, whose name just changed. And I should have thought about this before I came on, but we also have a digester that's hooking up. And it's all along that line. So we're going to follow them. Excellent.
So obviously, as you've indicated, even with adding those other industries along with whatever Coopersville needs, that's still not going to cause our facility to meet its max capacity.
Hydraulically, no. In terms of biochemical oxygen demand, that's essentially how much oxygen we need to be giving the bacteria that are eating all of the gooey goodness.
Yeah.
We need to increase our oxygen capacity or find a way to decrease how strong the wastewater is that is coming to us. It is very important that the industries on the pipeline meet their permit requirements for strength. Not necessarily volume, but strength.
So can you talk to us a little bit about the process as you were answering that question? I'm thinking to myself, I need to know a little bit more about how this.
You want to know about wastewater?
I want to know how it all works. I want to know how it all works. So it comes in, and what happens in the facility?
So we have lagoons. We have the first cell is a full mix. Everything is completely agitated. You can think about it as we are adding air into it. Predominantly, that's the main reason why we're agitating it. We want to get that oxygen in there because bacteria, when they're like us, they want oxygen to respire, and that is how they are going to consume all the sugars, all the fats that are in the proteins and everything that's in there, but especially the sugars. That's how they're going to consume it. And as they consume it, they're going to get fat and happy, and they're going to reproduce, and there's going to be more of them. And so we're agitating that, keeping that all suspended, and then we send it to a second cell where they're allowed to calm down and settle out. And so then we allow all of those fat and happy microbes to settle out as we aerate the top. And then at the bottom of this 15-foot cell, we have what's known as anaerobic digestion. Anaerobic digestion is when the cells are continuing to do the respiration, but without oxygen. And what ends up happening is they also start to eat each other. And so it's very violent, very violent. And so we get this sludge layer that will hopefully decrease and get smaller. And then every 10 years or so, we're able to go in and remove that sludge and start over. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
We agitate, add oxygen, let them sit. And then I should also say that part of our process is this is semi-treated wastewater. We haven't done any phosphorus removal intentionally or nitrogen removal intentionally. It does happen to some extent. But then we take this water and we put it into our 1,400-acre lagoons, our storage lagoons, and we store it all winter long. And then when May comes around, we turn on our irrigation and we irrigate crops. And these crops uptake the phosphorus and nitrogen, right? That's what we find in our fertilizer,
yep.
right? So that is how we are removing those very important nutrients. And they're important for the health of Muskegon Lake because if you release phosphorus and nitrogen, that's how you get algae growth. So we have very strict limits on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm remembering now because it's been several years because I've actually, if memory serves me correctly, I've actually goose hunted and duck hunted at the wastewater during that season in the various fields that surround the And I guess I never really appreciated why the fields existed there, and you've really just answered that question.
So there's an added benefit of having the crops there, in addition to getting rid of the nitrogen and phosphorus. And also they will remove some bacteria. That soil acts as a filter. It's wonderful. We get the crops, which we then sell, which keeps the user's bills lower. So we do soybeans, alfalfa, and corn.
So it's, I mean, as you look at it, it's more than just a wastewater treatment plant. I mean, it's sort of its own, I don't know, almost like its own biological system.
It is.
In and of itself, sustaining, it's just, that's pretty fascinating, quite frankly, how it sustains itself.
It's simple, but very large.
Yeah.
It's very rudimentary, but very large.
Well, I mean, it certainly, I mean, again, the way that you describe it, it makes it seem so simple, but I mean, you've got a pretty sophisticated degree in order for you to help manage all that kind of stuff.
Yes, but even in the world of wastewater engineering, this is a simple, it can get a lot more complicated. And I think we are very lucky that we have such a large, simple system. There's less things to break. There's less energy to be spent if you don't have to pump things. There's as far and through as many pipes, and there's less chemicals that you need to purchase. The only chemical that we use at our facility is ferric chloride, which is used to precipitate out phosphorus from ditch water before it goes into the Muskegon River, just as like a last ditch, just in case. Let's make sure that we're all good.
Which again is pretty fascinating. That most, I mean, I'll say 95%, 95% is all natural. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
I mean, the process is all natural, albeit the last bit.
Bugs are incredible. I say bugs, but I mean bacteria. Bacteria can be trained to eat plastic. They can, if you put them in the right conditions, a hungry microorganism will do a lot.
Interesting. So, obviously, you mentioned in the early part of your answers about dealing with the other pump houses throughout the county, obviously in the different municipalities that are certainly concerned about making sure that their residents get the water that they need for the various whatever. How has your experience, and I guess maybe I'll ask it this way, do you get an opportunity to collaborate and work in a cooperative nature with those other pump houses and municipalities?
So I don't know if I would call it an opportunity because when we do have to cooperate, it is because of a huge rain event where we're like, oh, please, stop pumping. Please, can you stop pumping so we can pump? Can you hold it? How long can you hold it for? Because we're trying not to spill. And we typically don't spill. So we do at times collaborate, but only when needed, because everyone has their own separate system. They are pumping into ours. And so only when we can't handle what they're giving us do we typically have to talk to them. Excellent.
Now, again, if memory serves me right, there's now a solar farm.
Correct.
On your, I'll say, land. Talk to us a little bit about that, because again, I think it was an opportunity, and you guys had the space. So talk to us about that.
Yes. So first of all, there's so many things to talk about when it comes to the solar farm. It's moving along at lightning speed. I'm very excited to see it. I think there were a lot of knee-jerk reactions at the beginning of, well, that land has a purpose. It's agricultural. Yes, but it's a brownfield. No pun intended. It's a brownfield. But at the same time, going back to what I previously mentioned about not having the flow that we didn't anymore, we don't have as much water that we need to get rid of anymore. And that land in particular has a lot of clay. So it wasn't the best land to be getting rid of water anyway. So we had not that much water, not that great soil. Well, why don't we just use it for something else? Why don't we use it for something sustainable? And so we partnered with Consumers Energy on this project, and they are leasing the land. We will get it back eventually. I don't remember the length of the contract, but until then, this money is going to reduce the bills of the users hooked up to the sewer system. And isn't that great?
It's fantastic.
And we're making clean energy.
So So it's almost it's a multi-purpose facility. You've got your solar energy that you're generating, certainly the water energy that you're generating. Essentially, there's a lot happening. So with all that going on, talk to us about some of the challenges, your biggest challenges that you face.
Well, I have a big problem that I've been facing as operations supervisor with operations of the plant. We have been dealing, and we're really working on a good solution, and I'm hoping that we're going to get it. We have a problem with what's called fog, fats, oils, and grease. We take it by truck. It comes through the pipe, but most of the problem is by the stuff that's been trucked in. And it comes from all over the state of Michigan, including a lot of it from Muskegon County. It's stuff like when you clean out a restaurant grease trap, and then that grease trap needs to be washed out. Like, they can take the pure grease and they can do something with it, but then you still have greasy water. Well, this greasy water gets dumped into our cells, and then it turns into grease balls. They're not fun. And I mean, they can get to be as big as the size of a basketball. We've had our 10-acre cell, too, covered with 2 acres of grease balls at one point this past spring. And removing them requires 2 of my guys to get in a telehandler and scoop it out bucket by bucket. And the wind has to be just right. And, you know, it's just never great. And then these grease balls need to be brought to our landfill, and they can only take about 3 20-yard dumpsters worth a day. Otherwise, it becomes unstable. So there's daily operational challenges with this grease. It's consuming a lot of oxygen in the tank. It's preventing oxygen from mixing in because it's literally forming a grease layer. And then we have a trash rake in between our 2 cells, and if the wind is just right, it can push a whole mat of grease balls in, fault it out, blow out doors. That has been an issue that I have really been focused on. So we're looking at finding a partner to process that grease without even putting it into the cells. That's what I've been really focused on lately.
I mean, I laugh just because, grease, when you think about grease balls, you don't think about, I wouldn't have thought about that, I guess. So it's an interesting challenge to hear about.
Ooh, speaking about challenges and seeing how this is going to be watched by people, I have a PSA. Please, ladies, stop flushing things down the toilet. You know what I'm talking about. Because that keeps getting stuck into some of our irrigation pumps. And it's been quite the challenge this summer of cleaning them out. So these are challenges.
Well, I will tell you, this is, if you've ever been to a bathroom in the county, they're very diligent about a particular sign.
Yep.
And I see it every day. So just so you know,
the county is doing its part.
The county is doing the county is doing its part to make sure that us employees understand to keep our pipes clean.
We have to pull rags out, mop heads out, large plastic sheets, the things that have been pulled out of pipes. Just because you flush it doesn't mean that it goes away. Yeah. And then you have to remember that there are people literally physically removing that with their hands. It's disrespectful.
Yeah, I think it's an important thing for us all to remember, because it's so easy just to flush it down the toilet, right? It's gone out of sight, out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. Not recognizing that actually goes somewhere. Mm-hmm. And in this particular instance, it's going to end up in our wastewater treatment plant, where humans are going to deal with it.
Yep.
And so that actually is a nice reminder for folks to make it let it be liquid. Everybody, let it be liquid.
Yeah, yep.
Just let it be liquid.
I don't know where we go from here, though, DJ.
Listen, everybody had to expect that we were going
to touch on it.
We were going to touch on it because it is what it is.
But the problem with the wastewater is not what you would think it is. It's grease balls. It's plastic. When we had plastic sheeting, that was a huge problem. It was getting caught, in places where we couldn't have it be getting caught. So.
As you look down the line, 5-10 years from now, what's the future look like for our treatment facility?
For our treatment facility, I'm hoping we have something to deal with the grease. I really do.
Yeah.
I have some, not even 5 years, hopes for getting something implemented there. I would like to see some more renewable energy. I think we have some opportunities out there. I would also like to see more oxygen being injected into the cells. And I would also like to see potentially a way for dealing with our high-strength wastewater streams. We get stuff from a variety of different industries and agricultural processing in general. It's one of our largest economic things in West Michigan, and we need to be able to support it. I don't like having to turn people away. When you do that, people lose jobs. That's not something we want to do. So I would like to see it where we can have, I'm throwing it out there, but maybe a digester or something. Either we add oxygen or we have a way of dealing with these high-strength wastewaters better so that we can continue to serve the industries.
Well, it almost sounds like, I'll say, for, again, lack of a better way to describe it, you're going to be forced to do that as this new line is in, because you've got two big dairies attached to this new line coming from Coopersville.
Well, the hope is that they will follow their permit.
Of course. Well,
yeah. Yes.
There are reasons why
yes.
regulations exist.
Exactly. And if they were to follow their permit, then we should be fine.
Okay.
So I think we should be fine. Of course, I don't want our capacity to just be limited to them. I want to be able to help other people. And I said we want to be able to help others. We have tons of, we're helping people all the way up in Traverse City, cherry processors. We're having meat processors down in Allegan. We have dairies coming from the other side of the state. We take a lot of wastewater that other people couldn't take, especially since the Fremont digester shut down. We have a regular bakery wastewater stream that comes from Grand Rapids. What if we didn't take it? They sent us 500,000 gallons this past year. Who else are they going to send that to? So it's very important that we take care of as many people as we can, because that's helping. Wastewater is typically is one of the limiting factors of a real industry being able to develop somewhere. So if we don't take care of our wastewater, that has I don't want to say trickle down, but a trickle up maybe, because it's going to come up the pipe, impact on the local economy. So we need to invest in the wastewater because it's going to help invest in our economic development. So that's what I would like to see happen, is a continued support for our loading capacity.
Well, I tell you, Amelia, this has been fascinating because I had, as it turns out, very limited knowledge of how important the recovery center was. And even though I tease your boss all the time because, well, we share the same name essentially, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me how, again, little old Muskegon County has such an important facility that's not only servicing, obviously, what it has to here, but it's stretching across the state from the north, the south, the east, and the west, all over, using our facility in order, as you said, to keep industry growing and the economy flowing. And that, no pun intended.
No,
pun.
There's only the best puns with the wastewater.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fascinating to me how that all works. So thank you for educating me on how wonderful this treatment facility is. And so at our next directors meeting, I'm going to really have to give DJ, the other DJ, a lot of kudos for all the work, including yourself. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today and educating myself, as well as the I'll say thousands, the millions of viewers that'll see this podcast for sure. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. That wraps up this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Again, just another example of how the county government, in this case, is working to not only better our own community, but be the betterment for a lot of other communities. And so continue to watch, continue to learn, and as always, this project does not happen without the ingenuity of one Mike Vogus.